Genetics is known as the science of genes, including the study of inheritance and variations between living beings. In general, the most basic concepts in genetics can be complex and difficult to understand, giving rise to a number of misconceptions. One of the most common misconceptions in genetics is the idea that single genes determine a single trait or attribute, thus giving rise to the idea that single genes are responsible for all human diseases. It is easy to oversimplify diseases and believe that one single mutated gene can cause a disease in an individual. However, a deeper understanding of genetics shows that there is very complicated and intricate relationships between genes and an individual's manifested physical traits. For example, eye color is governed by at least 3 genes, and skin color is determined by about 100 different genes. Thus, a particular trait or attribute can be determined by more than one inherited gene. Furthermore, organisms can inherit traits not particularly encoded by genes by a process known as epigenetic inheritance. There is overwhelming research showing that a parent's lifestyle choices, such as nutrition and exercises, can influence the genetic information inherited by their offspring. In other words, there are many external factors, such as environmental changes and lifestyle choices, that can influence the phenotypic expression of an inherited genetic trait. These external factors can lead to structural changes of certain chromosomal regions, which can increase or decrease the expression of a particular gene. In other words, the environment can turn genes on or off. These environmentally influenced changes can alter a person's identified traits and health. There is no doubt that there is a relationship between genes and the presentation of human diseases. However, the connection is not as simple as many think. Even the most common diseases such as breast cancer and diabetes are multifactorial and attributed to multiple genes interacting with each other. The interactions of these multiple factors and genes at play give rise to the wide spectrum of observable symptoms in these complex diseases. In truth, your inherited genes can mostly predetermine your susceptibility to particular diseases. However, it is your lifestyle choices and environmental factors which may give rise to presentation of a particular human disease. An example of a multifactorial disease is breast cancer. There are many genes that affect breast cancer, and the severity and risk of developing breast cancer is variable depending on gene expression levels. 2 really known genes that affect breast cancer are BRCA1 and 2, which are in charge of aiding in the making of a protein that repairs damaged DNA. A mutation in these genes can lead to a 7 out of 10 chance of developing breast cancer by the age of 80, but this does not necessarily mean that if there is a mutation, it will ultimately lead to breast cancer, as some people live with the mutation and do not develop this disease. CHEK2 is another gene that helps with DNA repair, and in this case, if a mutation occurs, it can increase the risk of breast cancer by 2-fold. There are many other genes that play a role here, which is why it is not possible to say that one gene 100% leads to breast cancer. Lifestyle factors also play a large role in the developing of this disease, as well as the risks associated. For example, if you drink 2 to 3 drinks a day, this increases your chance of breast cancer by 20% compared to people who do not drink. Also, the more fat tissue that a person has, the higher estrogen levels and blood insulin that this person has, which are both linked to cancer, and this effect is even larger postmenopause in women. Even factors such as having your first child after the age of 30 can increase the risk of breast cancer. Even if someone is completely healthy and does not meet the criteria for high risk, there are still cases where there's a sporadic mutation in any one of these genes, ultimately leading to breast cancer.
Another example of a multifactorial disease is type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes occurs when an individual's pancreas does not produce any insulin due to malfunctioned islet cells. Insulin is a hormone that helps regulate glucose levels in blood. Without insulin, sugar keeps circulating in blood without being taken up and metabolized for energy. Diabetes is a multifactorial disease where environmental risk factors may trigger the immune system to selectively destroy pancreatic beta cells, causing absolute insulin deficiency. The risk of developing diabetes is determined by genetic predisposition. Therefore, it is a combination of your genetic composition and environmental factors, such as smoking, pollution, and diet, which can influence disease progression. Scientists use genome-wide association studies to identify multiple candidate genes to dictate the function of pancreatic cells. Through genome-wide association studies, scientists have identified around 50 genes known to contribute to type 1 diabetes susceptibility. Decades of scientific research demonstrate that genetics play a key role in the etiology and pathogenesis of human diseases. There is an extensive body of knowledge on how genetic factors can influence the development of common diseases, namely breast cancer and diabetes. However, there still remains a lot to study as the genetics of these diseases are complex and polygenic. Moreover, these genetic factors are known to be influenced by the environment, increasing inherited risks to disease propagation. A critical application of genetics is the improvement in disease prediction and development of therapeutic strategies to prevent disease in susceptible individuals. Converting our research advancements in genetics into tools that are applicable to clinical needs is one of the great current challenges in biomedical research.